Alrighty, so I am here with Lindsay, who was kind enough to come and share her story. So thank you so much again for being here, Lindsay.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
All right. Well, I'd love people to just start with getting to know your story. If you want to share any background about your health history, and then what things were like for you when they were at their worst that prompted you to end up seeking out the help at Whole Body Healing.
Yeah, it's a long history. As a kid, I had, eczema pretty bad, allergies, a lot of food allergies, that would give me hives. They would come and go. It was very strange. Um, Other symptoms that, would come and go, like really thick dandruff as a child, on and off, just random things. And then you know, I just kind of wrote them off. I was gluten free on and off. My tummy troubles would come and go. Somewhere around 2019, after I had had two kids, I started to notice a lot of subtle symptoms like inflammation in my face. Like my skin didn't look luminous anymore. It was like puffy. I remember trying to fix that with facials. Didn't do anything. Um, my thick dandruff came back. My toenails were not growing, which was weird. Lots of small clues, and then the clues got bigger. I couldn't eat dairy, and then I couldn't eat lectins, and then I couldn't eat nightshades. And I thought, what is going on? And so I started taking a lot of stuff out, started, seeking some help because I figured this is not normal. Saw multiple doctors, multiple naturopaths, took a lot of supplements, a lot of time on Reddit, a lot of time on Google, um, which, some of it was helpful, some of it was really not. I got into a lot of cool things, earthing, um, like forest bathing, and I was trying everything. And things would feel good and they would feel right, but I still wasn't doing great. And then I had a round of antibiotics after the pandemic. I think maybe I was a little bit in a weak state. And that's when things really hit the fan for me. I had instant, crippling anxiety, to the point where I had to call the national hotline because I wasn't sure what was going on with me. I felt like I was losing it. Um, Even went to the ER for it, and they told me I'd be fine. Um, and then I had like uncontrollable burping and heartburn. And it got so bad that I had to quit my job because I couldn't even think straight. And my ability to handle stress went down. Um, the slightest thing would just start like heart palpitations, burping. And then, I lost a bunch of weight. I just really was not doing good. Um, and so I ended up getting a endoscopy, colonoscopy, just to rule things out. And they found nothing. And I think that the prep that you do for that really set things up in my microbiome for a way that wasn't great. I got COVID right after that. And then suddenly I was having a lot of throat tightness with a lot of foods. And desperately searching the internet, stumbled across your information and bought your book and bought your histamine course online and started reading. And I thought, this could be me. What do I have to lose? I'm going to try this low histamine diet. And so I did. And my anxiety was cured like within 2, 3 days. And I
Wow.
thought, oh, I have a histamine issue, clearly.
Mhm.
And so then you said you were having a cohort coming up, and I knew right away I need to call her and get in contact. And so I did. And yeah, that's how I got there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing your story. I think it's so common that, there's just these little hints through life, that it's easy to ignore for a while and like you manage it like, I'll just be gluten free or whatever. And then but it just takes one or two other just kind of pile-ons, with like having children, honestly, and like having a colonoscopy and getting COVID. And you can really see how things spiraled for you. And I think it's really helpful also for people to hear how mental a lot of the symptoms were, because I think that the anxiety part gets written off a lot by
Oh,
doctors.
yeah. I mean, for a while, it was my worst symptom. I mean,
Mhm.
just this panic, like over nothing, and I was put on the SSRIs and it numbed me out, sure, but it was still there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I saw in one of your interviews actually that she said that she just was laying on the couch and was like, I guess I just let this illness just swallow me into the couch. And then she decided, no, I'm not doing that. And when I saw that interview and I was like, I'm not doing that either. And I
Mm,
actually got off of the SSRIs, and I'm so glad I did. That this was before the colonoscopy because
yeah.
it made me mad then at that
Mm,
point. It gave me the drive to keep trying, to go back to
yeah.
the doctor. Man, I mean, that's how I ended up with the colonoscopy, which I mean,
Right.
every step was necessary because now I feel like I'm okay. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was, yeah, I don't want to call it a misstep because like I said, it gave me clues to the right answer.
Yes.
So
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, so you had already tried implementing some of the low histamine gut rebuilding diet when you came to the program, and you had seen significant improvement, especially in your anxiety. But then, yeah, I'd love if you shared a little bit more about what it was like to be in the immune resilience program and what other things you felt like that were most helpful in getting you to the point you are now.
yeah, I think the first most helpful thing was to know that I wasn't alone.
Mm,
Um,
hmm.
because I had never met anybody that had these kind of issues before. And reading your book, I mean, I have it right next to me. There's all these underlines in the first chapter about how you felt crazy and you felt like you were losing it and you felt, all these things. And I was like, I think I actually had to put it down and cried for a while because I was like, I'm not the only one. And,
Yeah.
I've met other women in the group that we've been working with that same thing, they have a history of the rashes and the weird food allergies. And I'm like, I'm part of a group of people. I have never felt that before. So that by itself, I think, was so huge. And then um, I had actually recently gotten diagnosed with autism at the time that I started your program. Um, and that I think was key for me, specifically because there's other things that go with that, like PTSD, other emotional things that I realized I'm not too good with emotions.
Mm,
And so a lot of what you teach that helps um, identify it, and sit with it, um, and explore those uncomfortable parts of yourself that I didn't even realize I was avoiding. Um, that then would give me the permission to set boundaries, um, to help me not feel that way. And I think that has been huge for me. Not that I never feel negative. Um, I think the grounding skills that you teach have been very impactful. I know you say it a lot about pressing your feet. into the earth, or, just leaning back into your chair. For me, I've actually found that just squeezing my wrist like this just helps me
Mhm.
remind myself I'm here. It's now. We're not, well, I'm so much up here. I've become so much more present, and that has really helped quite a lot. Um, I think you had covered a topic called felt sense, kind of in that same vein, where, and I didn't know what you were talking about at first. I got off of that call and I was like, what is she saying? And I had to talk to a couple of close friends and my husband to say, what is this? And have them explain it to me. And that might be unique to autism. And even if it is, it's still something that I can learn. Um, and so there's been, glimmers of, oh, that's what it feels like when I'm angry. It's right here. It feels, this discomfort right here. I'm sure it's been there the whole time, but I would just dismiss it, which is something that autistic people can do because you go through life being told that you're perceiving things incorrectly. And so you learn to not trust yourself. So that has been really big for me to get reacquainted with. You're feeling that way. It's not wrong. It might be different than most people, but it's not wrong. So that whole piece has been just so huge for me, just in my day to day, how I interact with people, and stand up for myself and advocate for myself. Um,
Yeah.
I would say also the compassion meditations, I think, were really big for me. I wasn't ready to cry like that during that meditation that Mike gave. I had no idea that was there. Um, so I love the different angles that you can, I mean, I think before I tried, went through your course, meditation was just kind of one note in my brain. Just sit and think. And it's not that at all. There's so many different methods and um, things you can focus on, or ways that you can approach, visualizations you can do. So that I found to be very valuable, to get to know myself in that way. I've never done that before. Um,
Yeah.
I would say, as far as diet, the meat stock hit me really hard. I was not ready. I mean, I thought I'm already eating meat. I'm already on this, low histamine thing. I've had been on a pretty, restrictive diet for a few years at that point. What's some meat stock gonna do? And I think I had a cup like with dinner, and I woke up the next day and, I had a bit of a reaction, which at that
Mhm.
point I was thankful because I knew something was changing and happening, but my face was puffy and I had a wicked headache that I had never had before. Nothing like that. I mean, I opened my eyes and I was like, ow. And that was a big clue for me. Like, this is real.
Mm.
This is good. This is, I need this. Um, and so I still, I mean, my favorite is chicken feet. People probably have their own favorites, but if you put some celery, it's fine. It doesn't taste like feet. But I have some, my kids call it feet juice every evening, you know?
Great. Pretty good.
I mean, it creates the wiggliest meat stock. It really
Yeah.
does. And it's cost effective. I mean,
Yeah.
so that's been huge for me and consistent. Then I would say animal fats, as far as
Mm.
diet. I never really was an animal fat kind of person. Surprise. I would always be that kid that was like, picking around the gristle and spitting it out. And if it was, that greasy texture, not for me. I was carbs, sugar,
Yep.
cakes, spaghettios, whatever, all the way. So
Yep.
um, that was a shift and it was challenging. Um, but it's so satisfying to eat those foods, and I can see it. Like my skin like is it looks like skin again. It doesn't look like alligator skin. Like it's literally making a change. I mean, it's I can feel it in, my skin. I mean, I don't use lotion anymore, but I don't need to. Um,
Mm,
I it's the animal fats. Um, that's been big. And then, oh gosh, kefir has been huge for me.
yeah.
I got a little too excited. I started with drops, and then I went to a teaspoon, and then I went to a tablespoon, and teaspoon to tablespoon really got me good. I had a lot of my symptoms come back. But again, that reaction told me this is correct. If you're not having a reaction to a probiotic, do you really need it?
Yes.
So,
Yes, exactly.
I haven't worked up to like kvass or anything vegetable based yet because I'm still working on increasing that. Um, but it's cool, a couple tablespoons I'm at now. But yeah, I had to reset for about 2 weeks and grapple with some symptoms that, I didn't really care for. So it's not a perfect journey. It's definitely for these, but it's
Yeah.
overall up. So
Yeah.
yeah, those are the biggest things for me.
Yeah.
A lot of going inward. The diet was definitely critical. I mean,
Yeah.
I had cut out so many things and not given consideration to what do I need to add. Um,
Mm,
I had, this, and it had created, my nervous system was, and it still is, afraid of certain foods. Like that one's bad, that one's bad, that one's bad, that one's bad. They're not bad. They're not bad foods. They're just, I can't digest them because my gut is in such a state, but that doesn't make the food bad. And I think that was something that I truly believe now because I've been able to add in foods that I never thought that I would be able to add. I mean, in the worst of it, I knew that fermented foods were a good thing for me. And this is before we were working together. And I tried to eat some sauerkraut and I had, I don't know, a teaspoon of it. And I had a full panic attack for about 4 hours. And
yeah.
no matter what probiotic I took, that would happen. And I thought, if I'm supposed to take probiotics to get better, how do I do that? If I react this badly, I can't have a panic attack like that every day. No way. And it's because I needed to work on adding those healing foods, the meat stocks, the animal fats, to get me to the point where I could handle those probiotics. So, I mean, I felt like when I first started doing kefir, I was like, I have been waiting for this for years, honestly.
Yeah.
So, so thank you for helping me to get to that point because I was clueless. So, thanks.
Yeah. How exciting is that you're up to a couple tablespoons? Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Yeah, especially with that reaction you described to sauerkraut in the past. And like kefir in a lot of ways is stronger than sauerkraut, so it's even more impressive. And yeah, I just want to highlight, I mean, it sounds like as I'm hearing you talk, it's like your whole perspective on your symptoms has shifted, right? Because you mentioned a couple times like oh, I had a reaction to this initially, but I actually felt good about it because that means I knew it was working. And that's such a different perspective, I think, than a lot of people are approaching their histamine symptoms with just like they're bad, they need to be avoided at all costs, and this fear around food that you described that you're working on letting go of. And it sounds like the grounding skills and the felt sense and the compassion meditation really helped with that process.
Yeah, that's definitely something that um, it's multi-pronged. You have the diet, you have the meditation, you have detoxing, you have the sleep. And as you work on one, this one kind of fades away and then you bring it back. And so it's not linear. Um,
Mhm.
But even like the first month that I was working on it, I would look back on those 4 weeks and think, oh, I have come a long way,
Hmm.
and it can be hard when you're still having the symptoms and still, you know, still kind of miserable to have the motivation to keep trying, knowing that you're going to be adding things that are going to make you react. And I think, yeah, I think that is the hardest part is the mental part of it. But for me, the group setting and being able to contact you, contact, my friends within the group, that made it that's what I needed. Was a sense of, group. Yeah,
Was
it's exactly what I needed for
exactly
me.
what I needed. Yeah, yeah. Well, do you want to share a bit about where you are at now in your health, like what the biggest shifts you've noticed are, and yeah, talk a little about that.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I was thinking about this, on my drive home. I used to struggle at work and I work part-time, to even make it through the day. And now sometimes I stay longer than I need to. And I used to have a pretty negative disposition. And now I have a positive disposition. I think for the first time in my life that I can
Wow.
recall. I've never been that person that's just, happy and trying to see the positive side. And I think I told you a story one time. I woke up and I was kind of where you're like in between awake and asleep. And I looked and I saw the door and I thought to myself, man, doors are cool. They're like walls that move. And I was like, what? Is that me? That's not me. But I mean, I'm expanding my diet all the time. I just sat down and made like a little schedule for myself on a rough idea of when I want to add what. Um,
Mhm.
my anxiety is gone. I've gotten back into hobbies that I didn't have time for before because I was just so caught up in my own brain, like music, learning instruments. Um, where I live has a little gym nearby and I can actually go, and do a little bit. It's something I used to really be into. And now I was telling my husband yesterday, I don't go to make myself look different or to lose
Mm.
weight. I just want to feel strong and have good posture and yeah, just feel powerful. And now, I can cook my kids dinner. I mean, I didn't have the energy for that before.
Yeah.
Um, and have a conversation with them and not feel like I can't wait until this is over because they're, how little kids can be sometimes. But it was so overwhelming for me before. I think I was just overwhelmed all the time, and now I can make time for that. So it's just overall just such a huge improvement. I mean, I really think a lot of it was the mental symptoms for me, the racing thoughts that, I'm not there anymore. So
Yeah.
it just gives me, I have my life back. I have my
Yeah.
life back. I feel like me again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't sure I was ever going to get there, And I mean, I don't travel yet. I just don't want to. It's a lot easier for me to stay where I am to prepare the foods that I need for myself. I have a little portable sauna over in the corner of my room that I like to use. Um, so, you know, we're realistic. I don't want to overwhelm my nervous system. But every week I pick something and I try it, and it ends up going just fine. So every
Yeah.
week I get just little samples. So It's slow, but it's steady.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and if I may, it's been my impression that you've gotten yourself back and then some. Kind of like you said, you never had a positive disposition before, and I feel like I really saw this whole personality, like character shift in you through the course of the program. I feel honestly so grateful that I got to witness that live, and sometimes you would come onto calls and you'd almost look like shocked at like the person you were discovering inside of yourself that like you didn't know was there. And some of these bigger picture transformation things, like yes, of course, all the symptoms dissolving. I mean, that's what we do this for, right? Of course, you're so happy and grateful, but sometimes are the things we don't expect to change that are actually the biggest blessing.
Yeah, I mean, I was telling one of my friends, I think it was this week or last week, I said, I think this diet has changed my personality. And he was like, I mean, it would change a lot of the neurotransmitters. I work with a bunch of nerds. We're all engineers. So we're into the science of a lot of the health stuff. And they see me, my coworkers, eating every day. And, it's cool. They're like, what have you added this week? And, they're excited for me, which is fun. Um, yeah, I used to be that very type A perfectionist, over the top, perfect scores. I went to Notre Dame, I and all the scores associated with getting into Notre Dame as, an 18-year-old, which is I look back and man, that was a lot of work. And now I don't think I could I don't think I could do that again. I don't think that I could be that like focused and perfectionistic. Now I'm just kind of like, if there's something on the to-do list and it doesn't get done today, what's going to happen? It will be there tomorrow. That had never been like that before, ever. You know, I let my gas in my car get down to like I have 30 miles left. Never. 100 miles, I'd be filling it back up because I'd be too nervous, right? And now that I'm thinking, I, I was operating from a place of fear in a
Yeah.
lot of areas of my life. And now, after what I have been through, I ain't afraid of much at this point. Like, how bad could it be?
Right.
How bad could it be? Not that bad. So, I'll do the things that are important for me and for the people that I care about, and other things can wait if they need to wait. Um, and, I really feel like all of this happened to me so that I could learn that. Um, I very much have embraced the idea that this happened to me for a reason. Part of the reason I agreed to do the interview here is because I want at least if just one person would see this and say, "Oh my God, I have that and that and that. I need to contact Jen and get their life back." Then that's why I'm here doing this. Um, and I tell people if people want to know about what's going on with me, why I'm not eating the catered lunch at work or wherever, I'll tell them. I mean, I'm not shy about what's going on. I mean, it's so important. I mean, it's the way that things are going to have to go in the future. It won't be just us on the fringes doing these things. It's going to become a bigger problem. And so the more people we can tell, I feel like the better. Because, I mean, I had test after test. You're fine, you're normal, you're great. I'm like, I promise you I'm not.
Yeah.
The way I feel is not normal. And, um, I look at people with schizophrenia differently. I look at
Hmm.
have those issues differently, um, with so much more compassion and, wanting to help and fix. And we can't fix everything, but we can do what we can do and make small changes and put the word out there. And hopefully enough people will eventually be open to it, enough to realize that, yeah, maybe if a food wasn't around a few thousand years ago, we probably weren't meant to eat it, you know? But
Yeah. Yeah.
that doesn't make sense, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm happy to share.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. It's such a beautiful story. And yeah, I guess I feel like that wraps it up pretty well. I just want to give you an opportunity if there's any last things you want to share with anyone listening, any last message.
I mean, it's a lot of work, but it's the best work you can do. Um, Things like this. And yeah, I mean, it's just been life changing for me. I can't even put to words like how grateful I am. It's off the charts. I mean, every day, every week gets better and better. I'm feeling happier and happier. I'm like, is there a ceiling here? Like on
Yeah, isn't
how,
that wild?
you know, I mean, when I met you, I was like, she's faking it. People aren't that happy.
Hilarious.
And no, I'll just blame the bad bacteria for that, I guess. But um,
Yeah.
we're not faking it. Um, it's real and it's accessible to everyone. I feel like there's no magic pill, there's no super supplement or anything. It's you owning yourself and your life and your decisions and making an effort to be there for yourself. Um, and you can do it. Anybody out there can do it. I mean, yeah, I was in the worst way. And I know some of the other women in our group were too. And oh, we did it. We did it. I mean, we're doing it, I should say.
Yes. Yes.
Continue the rest of my life incorporating these things. And I've been trying with my children too. And it's it's snowballing. It's great.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, I love that as an end note. So, yeah, we'll wrap it up. But thank you again so much, Lindsay, for sharing. Yeah, it's just so meaningful to hear all aspects of someone's recovery story, where it's not just necessarily checking boxes of like this symptom is better and this symptom is better, although, of course, that's wonderful, but also just like this whole body wellness you're describing. I mean, we can't put a price tag on that, right? It's just a different thing when you experience it. And yeah, I love that. No, we're not faking it. I know it can seem corny at times. But it's just how you get. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I didn't know it was available to me. I have
Yeah.
never felt like this before.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but yeah, it's just funny how if you're like that and you're like, that's not real.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, I am going to stop the recording.